Uh, Basically, session is basically on design thinking, and IPQC is part of this regular series. We bring today's session, especially for the industry people. We welcome our guest speaker today, Mr. Pawan Soni, Dr. Pawan Soni. Is a renowned speaker on various forums across the country, even abroad. Is a regular speaker. I just read out his achievements through LinkedIn profile. Just give me one second. So Dr. Pawan Soni is innovation evangelist by profession and a teacher by fashion. He is the founder of the Inflexion Point, offering programs on design thinking, strategic acumen, and consulting skills. Apart from being an adjunct faculty at ISB Hyderabad, IIM Bangalore, Dr. Pawan has engaged with the companies including Reliance, Tata's, ITC, Flipkart, and Novartis, amongst the others. Dr. Pawan is a mentor for NSRCL at IIM Bangalore and is a founder institute and the founder institute and a columnist at HT Mint. Used Your Story and People Matters. He has been invited to speak at ISRO as a part of their distinguished lecture series and has delivered talks at over 120 organizations in India and abroad. Dr. Pawan was the only Indian to be shortlisted for the prestigious FT and McKinsey Bracken Bower Award for the Best Business Book of the Year 2016. He has also been invited 5 times to speak at TEDx for his work on innovation. Pawan bagged the prestigious On the Job Achiever Award at Lakshya in 2007 at NITI, Mumbai. He is a gold medalist from MBM Engineering College, Jodhpur. And he has, did his PGDIE from NITI, Mumbai. And Pawan finished his doctoral studies from IIM Bangalore in the domain of innovation management. So welcome you, sir, for this series, and we are honored to have you as a guest speaker today. And our audience is across different industries spread and different sectors covered. So it's a mix of all, like engineering, manufacturing, startups, CEOs, professionals, consultants. There are across different industries people are participating. I want you to take advantage of this mix and go ahead and share your expertise, basically some cases in these industries, how they do in different industries. And I request Dr. Pawan to take over.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay. So welcome everyone to this program. I'm really very happy to be here with all of you. And also, as I can see, a good number of participants have already joined the session. So I'll keep it conversational. I'll keep it brief. So what over the next few minutes, we have time till 3 o'clock. So which is about a good 50 minutes we have. So in the 50 minutes, I'll touch upon the very important construct of what is design thinking and how you can practice design thinking at an individual level. We'll keep the conversation strictly around the chat. So if you have any question, you should write on the chat. Keep the chat window open so that I can even ask you a few questions and you can come back to me with your responses as well as we're talking. So the introduction has been done. And I run this company called Inflexion Point. And over the last several years now, I have been engaging with a whole host of companies on design thinking, innovation, etc. So in today's discussion, we'll talk about what is design thinking, why now we are talking about design thinking as a very important topic. What are some of the principles of design thinking and how do you really practice design thinking to solve your problem? So I'll take 1 or 2 case studies to sort of tell you how design thinking can be practiced. So first thing is that design thinking is not new entirely, but the combination of couple of things which have come together makes design thinking new. So if somebody asks you what is design thinking, at the very fundamental level, design thinking is a human-centric, systematic way of problem solving. It's all about solving problems. Though the word design thinking has design in it, but that does not necessarily mean they are to design new things. It can be applicable to solve any type of a problem. You can solve a problem around employee motivation, vendor management, accounts receivable, new product development, process improvement, market capturing, customer engagement, etc. So a whole host of problems can actually be dealt with when it comes to design thinking. But the key construct of design thinking is human centricity. So the whole idea is to put the human at the center of the affair. Apart from human centricity, which is, if you look at the Venn diagram over here, there are three elements that we look at: desirability, feasibility, and viability. So as I was saying, that apart from the human centricity, which is denoted by the human desirability part of it, the other two dimensions is feasibility and viability, which is technical feasibility and business viability, which means, am I able to do this thing technically, yes or no? And then of course, the other thing is that, am I able to also look at it from the perspective of business viability? So this is what is very, very critical from a design thinking point of view. Now, let me give you a few examples of design thinking. Now, all of us are grappling with coronavirus. Our lives have been changed in some very unforeseen, unheard of way. So let me give you an experience of how, an example of what can possibly be a good case of desirability, feasibility, and viability. Okay. So here is a good example. The first one is that, let us look at this thing that, suppose we come up with a coronavirus vaccine. And one of the ideas of administering the vaccine is that, let's put this in water and let the water go into people's houses, and when they're consuming water, they should get inoculated. Now, this vaccine being sent through water, what do you think? Is it desirable to the end customer? Yes or no? You can type on the chat. What do you think? On terms of desirability, is desirable? Yes, no? This idea, desirable to the end customer? Okay, some of you are saying no, others are saying yes. Okay. Do you think it is feasible to do it? Technically feasible? Technically feasible? Okay. And do you think it is business? It makes a business sense for the company which is manufacturing the vaccine? No. So this is not a good idea because it does not meet all the three conditions. Let's look at another idea of administering the medicine. One of the ideas that we can look at is that all the students who are studying in pharmaceutical colleges across the country, who are studying in nursery colleges across the country, who are studying in medical colleges, students, I'm not talking of professionals who are graduated, all the students, we put on the task and we create an army of people to administer the vaccine across the length and breadth of the company. And all these logistics company, Flipkart, Blue Dart, Amazon, Indian Postal Services, all these guys become the logistics service providers because it has to be a cold supply chain. If we create that combination of logistics companies, which are home delivery, the companies that do grocery delivery and home delivery, etc., and we create this army of people and we combine them to administer this vaccination, do you think it is desirable for the patients or the consumers like you and me? Yes, no? Desirable? Yes, no? I guess it is desirable because we would not mind it. Do you think it is technically feasible to do it at the length and breadth of the country? Technically feasible? I think it should be doable because we have colleges across the country. It is not centralized. Not everything has to come from Delhi or come from Pune where the medicine would probably be manufactured. And do you think it is feasible and viable for the company that is making drugs? I guess it will be viable also. So that qualifies as a good idea. So the whole idea about design thinking is that whenever you are thinking of an idea or you're thinking of a concept, you should always run it in your mind that, is it meeting the three conditions or not? Because if any of the three conditions is not met, then what would happen to your idea is that this idea will not go the distance. So that is a prerequisite of design thinking: technical feasibility, right? Human desirability and business viability. It has to make sense for the consumer. It has to make sense for your business. It has to also make sense in terms of technology. Let's move on to why are we talking of design thinking now? These are the fundamental reasons why design thinking is important. But the foremost reason is that the problems have become very complex. It's a very complex. For example, the very fact that we have to straddle between the economic cost of a lockdown and the healthcare cost of people moving around. It's a very complex decision, very complex decision. Our government is now announced that they will be opening metro anytime soon. I'm in Bangalore, and I know that the moment lockdown got opened, the cases shot in the city of Bangalore. Otherwise, Bangalore was a very placid city, but it just shot. But eventually, it had to be opened up. We even tried for a 1 week of lockdown, but I don't think that mattered at all. So the problems that you're trying to solve are increasingly becoming so complex that for a complex problem, you need a complex thinking. You cannot optimize in one dimension. You have to optimize on all the dimension. And that is what is complex level of problem. And that complex level of problem requires a complex level of thinking, but it has to come out with a very simple, elegant solution. The second reason why design thinking has become very important today is because if I go back to the decades of 1960s, 1970s, and well into 1980s, only a handful of institutions in the world would claim to have the best ideas, the best talent, and the best resources. I can go to a Stanford University, HP Labs, IBM Research Center, maybe AT&T Bell Labs, or Xerox PARC, etc. In India, it can be CSIR, ISRO, DRDO. But if I go to CSIR today, or if I was recently at ISRO, and I'm actually surprised that a lot of what goes into our Chandrayaan is actually not manufactured by ISRO. It's manufactured by a lot of startups which are working with ISRO. And that is what I mean by democratization of information, knowledge, capital, and talent. No longer can it be said that the best talent would be available at the best institute. No. The best talent can be sitting in the dormitory at a college. The best talent can be sitting in Finland. A good example of a talent sitting in Finland was a person by the name Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds wrote Linux. The entire kernel of Linux he wrote sitting in Finland, not in New York, right? Not in Silicon Valley, not in the UK, right? So talent is highly, highly distributed, and we need to start working with that talent. The third is because of affordable communication, computation, mobile phones are being available to all of you. The cost of failure has really come down. And many people do not realize how cheap it has now become to fail. When all of us were growing up, failure was stigmatized. If somebody failed in school or a college, the guy was labeled as a failure for the rest of the life. But that's not true anymore. You fail, you bounce back. There are so many examples all around us of companies which have failed, which have bounced back. Correct? Look at Tata Nano. Tata Nano was a very ambitious project. Now, Tata had to shut down Tata Nano, but it has not dented the image of Ratan Tata. He goes on, right? And there are so many other examples. Elon Musk, SpaceX. There are so many failures associated with SpaceX, but still he went on to finally launch the aircraft, the rocket. Bill Gates, there are so many failures Bill Gates had in his life. One of the biggest failures that Bill Gates talks about in his life is not acquiring Android, but he goes on to live for another day. So I think the cost of failure has really come down. And if you do not realize it, then I think now is the time for you to realize that the cost of failure has come down and to start experimenting. And I think coronavirus, this pandemic is a great time for you to experiment. Okay, change your habits. And the last thing is that because the tools of experimentation are so widely available, everybody can participate. Before I go any further, let me tell you the genesis of the word design thinking. Okay, for all those of who have heard this term for the very first time or who are still curious as to what design thinking really means, the word design thinking was coined by this person. I'll write the name of this person. His name is David Kelly. Okay, David Kelly was the founder of IDEO. IDEO is the world's foremost design company, and he also founded the Stanford Design School. He was the founder of Stanford Design School, which was, I think, founded in 2004. So he coined the term design thinking. And over the next couple of minutes now, I'll also tell you that what is the process of design thinking and how you need to start thinking about design thinking in a very, very radical manner. So these are the reasons. This is the history of design thinking. Let's move on and understand this model. Now, I'm sure this is a model which is familiar to many of you, but if not, then let me explain this to, or you can't see what I typed. Okay, I just typed for all the panelists just above. None of you can see what I typed. Just can you check?
No, cannot be. I think it's not visible.
Okay, that's okay. You can mute yourself. That's no problem. Let me change the settings. Okay. I hope now you can see it. Okay, cool. So this is what is the history of design thinking. David Kelly coined the term in 2004. Because it's 2004, it is not a very old concept. But I'm really happy to see the amount of, the amount of traction that this concept has really gotten itself into. Let us look at this old model. This old model of problem solving or new product development or innovation is called as a stage gate model. The reason it is called as a stage gate model is because there are stages when you invest, and then there are gates which are check gates, go no go gates, whether either the idea goes or it kind of falls down. Okay. All right. Okay. My request to all of you is that please do not type anything which is not relevant to this topic on the chat. Please don't do that. Okay. It's very distracting to me. I'll not tolerate this. Okay. John, please don't do that again. Okay. You can always type this at the end of the session. This is my session. So let me manage it my way. Is that okay, John?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, please don't do that again. Okay. So what I'm saying is that this is the stage gate model. And what we do in the stage gate model is we take an idea and then we take this idea through this process. Now the stages are initial screening, then series of screenings, and finally you launch that particular idea all towards the end. Now I would like you to understand, the first question that I have for all of you is that this model has some technical flaws in it. Can you identify what are the basic problems with this model of problem solving or this model of innovation? What are the challenges with this model?
Yeah, it takes more time.
Okay. Okay. Please type on the chat so that everybody can read what you have written. It's linear. It's a waterfall model. Very good. What else is the problem with this model? Okay. Very high cost of failures, time consuming, error gets identified very late. That's a good point, Naveen. Okay. Very long duration. Testing and validation comes very late. Right? You get to know whether it is working or not very much in the end of the process. There's no feedback mechanism. That's a good point, Venkat. What else? What else is the reason why it's non-iterative? I would suggest you please type the messages to all attendees, and instead of all panelists, you can change your setting to, on your chat box, there is a to thing. In the to, just put all panelists and attendees instead of all panelists so that everybody can see your messages. Please do that. It stops creative thinking. Please change the settings to all panelists and attendees. That's important. All right. Okay, good. There's no feedback loop. Naveen saying that, yeah, measure it has failed, don't reach the light of the chance, etc. So as I said before, all of these are right answers. So the problem with this model is that it's been identified already. The first problem is that this model starts with an idea. That itself, should a model of innovation, should idea be the starting point? Is it a good starting point idea, or is it a bad starting point? Starting with an idea. Innovation. Should innovation start with an idea, or should innovation not start with an idea? Actually, if you think about that, starting with an idea is not a good idea. Innovation should never start with an idea. Okay, because the moment I
Problem.
start with an idea, I have so much narrowed down my focus to that particular idea that I'm just not willing to look beyond that idea at all. And that can be a very, very dangerous thing for me to do. So if idea is a bad starting point of innovation, what's a good starting point? Where should innovation really start from? If idea is not a good starting point, necessity, problem statement. Good problem statement, okay. But what if there is no problem? If everything is fine, there is no problem, there is no pain, there is no necessity. Can I still innovate in the absence of a pain or a problem? Is it possible? Opportunity, very good, Naveen. Shilpa, what if there is no difficulty? So you can have two starting points of innovation, either desperation or aspiration. Let me write it down for all of you. I can have a sort of a, a problem or opportunities. Any of these things can be a good starting point for innovation. The second is gate. Now there are two ways of looking at innovation. Let me tell you statistics. In statistics, you must have heard about this term called type A error and type B error. Can anyone tell me what is a type A and a type B error? If you can please type on the chat. In statistics, what is a type A and a type B error? What is a type A error? What's a type B error? Anyone knows that? Anybody? Okay, type A error is called false positives and type B error is called false negative. Okay, type A is called false positive, type B is called false negative. In this realm of innovation, there are two types of errors. Type A is called as a failed innovation and type B is called as a missed innovation. Type A is called a failed innovation and type B is called a missed innovation. Now, first of all, tell me which is a bigger error to make by a company, A or B? Which is a bigger error, A or B? Okay, almost everybody said B. That's right. B is a bigger mistake to make because when you are making a failed error or a failed product, then you know the cost of failure. But if you missed something completely, then you have no idea what is the amount of loss that you have incurred. If you look at this model, what is this model trying to reduce? Is the model trying to reduce type A error or type B error? What's the model trying to reduce, A or B? A. That's the right answer. It is actually trying to reduce A error. And when you reduce A error, what error increases as a result? If you're trying to reduce the A error, B error increases. Because if you're trying to be very sure about making one idea work, then you are dropping a lot of other ideas. And of course, this model is linear. That's another problem because there is no feedback. And how late, look at, you're validating and testing right to the end. So the antidote of this entire model or the corrected model is called your design thinking model. Okay, this model is not same as your stage gate model. This is a very evolved model where you are starting with inspiration. This is the model of design thinking. So please, all of you, take a screenshot. Okay, once you've taken the screenshot, just type a yes to me so that I can proceed and save the screenshot. Take a screenshot and save it. Don't wait for me to email the presentation, because even if I may email the presentation, many people may not pay heed to it. So it's better that you learn real time. Okay, done. If all of you are done, so I would not be sharing the presentation. Please understand that, right? So you have to take the notes as we are talking right now and take screenshots, make notes so that you're more attentive. Because if I'll share the presentation, then 90% of you would just sleepwalk through this presentation. how to take a screenshot. Okay, if you have a Microsoft laptop, operating system laptop, then there is a print screen right at the top row. You would have a print screen button. You can just press that. If you have Apple, then you can copy that. So this is how, all print screen. Okay, good. So these are the model, very simple model of what we call as a design thinking model. So the starting point of design thinking is inspiration. Inspiration sets the context of why we need to have a design thinking expedition. Is it that we're trying to solve a problem? Is it that we're trying to create an opportunity? For example, when Apple created, or when Steve Jobs created iPhone, he did not want to solve a problem per se, because people were quite happy with their current phones. But he had a sort of displeasure, dissatisfaction with the way phones were being used. And he had a great opportunity to disrupt that market. And as a result, you had this iPhone. Similarly, when Jeff Bezos wanted to disrupt the market of e-book readers, traditional e-book readers were very bulky, very low battery life, and very complex to operate. And then he disrupted the entire market with the launch of Kindle, the e-book reader. So that is an inspiration part of it. So a good leader inspires people to be creative, to start adopting design thinking. The second stage is called empathize and define. If you ask me what is the core of design thinking, the core of design thinking is empathy. Empathy in Hindi means samvedana, sahanubhuti. When you feel somebody else's pain, when you feel somebody else's problem. Okay. For example, if I can cover 100 slides in 1 hour, or I can cover 1 slide in 1 hour. But what I need to understand is I need to appreciate your pace of absorption. How quickly can you absorb what I'm trying to tell you, right? And that can only happen if I'm empathetic towards you, if I'm empathizing with you. But once you start empathizing with your customers, the customer can bombard you with lots of problems. This is not good. Can we do this also? Henceforth and so on. And you would really be lost. You will have something called a empathy fatigue. And that empathy fatigue can make you non-judgmental, can make you confused. And that's where we define. What we mean by define is that can we pick the problem which is worth solving? What you need to understand is that not every problem is worth solving, or at least worth solved by you. Pick the problem which is, sharpen your focus. Once you pick the problem which you want to really solve, and this problem comes because of empathizing with the end audience, then you go to ideation, where you generate lots of ideas. Here is a question for all of you. Okay, when you are generating ideas, what is more important for you, A or B? I'm writing down the question: A, B, what is important, A or B in the ideation stage, A or B? Please write to all the panelists and all the attendees so that everybody sees, not panelist. Panelist, I'm the only panelist. Okay, don't write to me only, write to everybody. In your setting, change it to all panelists and attendees. Please do that. Very good, Murli. I want everybody on the call to chip in. If you're spending your Saturday afternoon with me, you better participate 100%. Otherwise, you should get yourself busy with something else. So half of you said A, half of you said B. Let me sort of clarify. This is a very, very important mistake people often make, and that's the reason I want to bring it up front so that we all understand the importance of this particular thing right at the beginning itself. So the way you have to look at it is, look at this company called Ola. Okay, Ola. You must have all used Ola, I'm assuming. Ola or Uber, you must have all used it. Let us look at the technologies that gets into Ola. Can you name all the technologies that go into making Ola app? On the Ola app, which all technologies are used? Can you please write down? Cloud, very good. GPS, Google Maps, very nice. What else? Go ahead. I'm sure you must. Artificial intelligence, scalable infrastructure, payment gateway, messaging, IoT. I'm not sure if IoT is being used right now. Customer interface, yes. Framework for drivers to log in, yes. Mobile technology, very nice. Very good. Database, mobile payments. Good. I'm very happy. Tell me, out of all of these technologies, which of the technology were actually created by Ola? Which did they create? Answer is none. Nothing they created. What they did, as Murli rightly said, they integrate them all together. Okay. Now, the whole idea about ideas is that ideas are like Lego blocks. You have all seen Lego blocks, children playing. You must have played with Lego blocks also as a child. Lego blocks. Ideas are like Lego blocks. The more Lego blocks you have, the more combinations you can make. Okay. And hence the rule of ideation is this. Please make a note mentally, physically, make a note so that you don't get confused ever. Good ideas come from a lot of ideas. If you need good ideas, have a lot of ideas. And hence, whenever you're trying to do brainstorming, you should always go with a lot of ideas. And then after combination, permutation, some will be successful, some will be duds. But the idea is to have a lot of that kind of combination, permutation, so that you get the best ideas. Am I making sense to all of you? So whenever you do brainstorming session, always don't ask, as a manager, never ask your team, give me 2 ideas. No, never ask, give me 2 ideas. Always say, give me 50 ideas. Ask 50 ideas. Okay, 50 ideas. And then it is your job as a manager to take those 50 ideas, combine them in some form or the shape, and then come up with the best possible idea, right? Okay, so this is what is sort of an understanding of design thinking for all of you. Let me quickly tell you an application of design thinking, right? But is there not a fatigue in evaluating? Very good point, Murli. It's a very good point. See, the thing is that whenever we are trying to evaluate an idea, we again go back to this matrix. Here, I put all my 50 ideas onto this matrix and then I'll evaluate. But the problem is that if I do not have 50 ideas, what will I evaluate? That's the real risk that I run into. If I have only 2 ideas and both these ideas do not qualify in this matrix, then what happens? I'm left with 0. But if I have 50 ideas and some of them are not desirable, some of them are not feasible, some of them are not viable, but maybe 2 or 3 ideas are feasible, viable, desirable, all 3 are coming together, then I know that I have the jackpot. Does it answer your question, Murli? So always start with a lot of volume. Have a lot of ideas and then put ideas in combination. The combination of ideas is what makes you innovative and not the idea per se. Now let me quickly, I have only 10 minutes with me before I take a question. We are at 15:40. I'll stop at 15:50 so that we have 10 minutes for question answer. Yeah, so you have to postpone your judgment. That's very, very important. Okay, postpone your judgment or park your judgment. Don't be judgmental. When you're generating ideas, don't be judgmental. Let me quickly share with you one case study of how to use design thinking. Okay. This is the case study. This case study is for an e-commerce company. Suppose you are an e-commerce company. Okay. Anything, Big Basket, Flipkart, Amazon, erstwhile Snapdeal, whatever. So the problem that you want to explore is that how do we improve customer satisfaction? I'll come to your questions. Give me 5 minutes. Let me run you through this model, and then I'll come back to all you. Please hold your questions till such time. Okay. So let me take you through an example of how to use design thinking. Right. So design thinking in action. So the first tool that we use is called problem exploration. What you're seeing on the screen is a tool. Can anyone tell me what is this model of representing content called? What is this model called? Mind map. Very good, Narsimha. Mind mapping. Okay, this is called mind mapping. Mind mapping is a mental representation or a physical representation rather of your mind. Okay, so how can there be poor customer satisfaction? Some of the reasons can be low product quality in online shopping, poor online shopping experience, delivery issues, and payment issues. In terms of delivery issues, what can be the further issues, subcategories? Delay in delivery, delivery person's etiquettes may not be appropriate, SOPs of deliveries are not being followed in terms of how to reach, what time to reach, how much to chase the customer, etc. Correct? Poor product quality can because of having too many subprime vendors, QA not working effectively. So that is called problem exploration. So the first thing in design thinking is empathize with the customer. And not only the customer, you should also empathize with the other parties involved in the delivery experience, like the customer, family and friends, delivery boy, the people who are giving you the product, which is the product vendors, your technology team, your logistics team, and the media. And then try to understand from each of these perspectives that how each one of them are sort of contributing to your problem. Once you have understood, the third view of looking at the same problem is what we call as a customer journey map. In the customer journey map, what do? We start from the entire journey of a customer when the customer wants to buy something online. The first thing is customer visits the portal. She is searching for or browsing the products, evaluating options, giving you the payment, billing, delivery details, then waiting for the shipment to happen, and finally receiving the shipment and opening the package. When the customer is going through this journey, what are the challenges the customers can face? One challenge can be lack of personalization, product listing is not up to date, I'm not sure how much time is going to take for my delivery, etc. So basis this map, what I've tried to understand is I've tried to understand the problem the customer has. Then I'll get into the defining, and I want to just focus on the actual experience when the customer is visiting my website. Now I get into the ideation stage. So what I've done is I've generated these ideas. All the tick marks are ideas. When the customer is browsing, what can I do to increase the visibility of my product? I can have deal of the day. When the customer is making the payment, what can I do to reduce the risk of a fraud? I can have a secure transaction. When the person is receiving the shipment, what can I do to increase the convenience of reception? I can have a convenient pickup location or a convenient pickup time, which can be sort of done in consultation with the customer. So all these the ideas I can think of, and then finally what I can do is I can put these ideas back into my scenario. So I have 20 ideas. What do? I take all the 20 ideas and run them through this map. Desirable, feasible, viable. Desirable, feasible, viable. And the idea which is meeting all the three conditions is something I'll put in my map. Okay. This is how we actually apply design thinking. So I do a lot of design thinking programs with lots of organizations. Currently, I'm doing a program with Flipkart. We use this model primarily to kind of take them through. Accenture, I do design thinking programs. Aditya Birla Group, I'm doing something. And a lot of other institutions, I do a lot of design thinking programs with. So this is pretty much the understanding of design thinking, a design thinking process model, which I've taken you through, and an example which I've taken. So now what I'll do is I'll just pause here. Okay. I'll pause my presentation, and I have about 10 minutes with me. And in the next 10 minutes, what I can do is I can take 5 questions. So over to you for writing your questions on the chat box, please. What are the questions that you have? Okay, Murli says, can you also post the comparative slide down early so that I can take a screenshot, the linear one starting with the idea? Sure. Here. So take them the screenshot, you can type a yes so that I can proceed. Okay, the second question I have is from Tilak. Is agile and design thinking same? There is some similarity, Tilak, between agile and design thinking. For example, if I look at a rapid iteration, being close to the customer, these are very important elements which are common in both agile and design thinking, but it is not entirely same. One fundamental departure between agile and design thinking can be in the space of empathy. Agile does not call out empathy very strictly, but design thinking calls out empathy. Another thing is scale. Agile spends a lot of time in iteration. Design thinking also spends a good amount of time in scaling it up. So there is some commonality, but it is not the same. Okay, let me take another question. No, Narsimha, I don't use that PUGH matrix. How can you apply design thinking to individual level, not for the organization, but for self? Very good, Sangamitra, good question. So the best way to apply design thinking is three things. I'm writing these three things down for all of you so that you can make a note. The first thing that you need to do to apply design thinking is called listen with intent. Be a good listener. Because when you become a good listener is when you start to empathize with your customers, empathize with your people whose problem you're trying to solve. So that is the one thing. Second is observe with intent. Whenever you go and see things, have an intent or observe purpose of the observation. And the third thing is defer your judgment. By not being very judgmental, you will be able to entertain a lot of other ideas which can possibly help you even more. And if you are really further keen to understand, then let me share one talk of mine, which talks about how do you become a design thinker. Let me just send a link to all of you. So please have a look at that talk on what are the traits you can have to be a good design thinker yourself. Let me base that talk and then I can take a couple of more questions. Give me a second. Okay, here is the video. You can check it out whenever time permits you. All right, what's the other question we have? Shilpa has asked, will not our original ideas innovation get diluted by integrating with the I do not know, Shilpa, if they'll get diluted. I think they'll rather get strengthened. If you look at the best movie makers like Quentin Tarantino or even Christopher Nolan, these people are very famous for combining ideas from history, from geography, from space, from nature, biology, and they bring these ideas together. So the power of combination is the power of ideas. So I do not think that they'll get diluted. That's my view. In the three topics, which is the most important parameter to consider? I'm assuming you are talking about desirability, feasibility, viability. Is that the question, Narsimha? Okay, desirability. The most important is desirability. How design thinking is applicable for education. So I think if we can, for example, if I look at the current education policy, the new education policy to 2020, which government announced last month or earlier this month, I think because we are blurring the boundaries between arts and science and craft, if you can make your children practice with their hands, take up arts, do a lot of craft along with science, that can be very useful to develop design thinking. Business canvas map. I don't know if we'll have time for that, Chandru, the business model canvas, because I just have about 10 minutes with me. But maybe some other day I should be able to help you with the business model canvas. It's a very fascinating way. So you should try and look up this book called Business Model Generation. So that's where we talk about business model canvas. Subhash, one good word to define a good problem in design thinking is should be a wicked problem, where people even don't agree on what exactly. That's right. That's right. It's a wicked problem. Okay. What else do we have? Do you use verb for defining problems? Yeah. So I think he answered Anita's problem question. I think idea generation should beat all levels, right from problem solution ideas to final application. Yeah, sure. Okay. Any other question that I missed out on? Oh, I have got so many ideas for WhatsApp. How can I tell them? I think you have to demonstrate your ideas, Sachin. Nobody will believe on your idea unless you show them a proof of concept. And the onus of doing a proof of concept lies with you. So that's what you need to possibly do. Design thinking and TRIZ. Okay. Gaurur, the difference between design thinking and TRIZ is that TRIZ looks at any problem as a physical contradiction. And then it gives you a set of solutions that you can look into called the TRIZ matrix. It's a 40 by 40 matrix. Whereas design thinking does not offer that kind of a split between a physical contradiction. And then there are no prescribed set of solutions also. So that's the difference between TRIZ and design thinking. TRIZ is very regimented. Design thinking is quite open-ended. Vamsi, the cost of implementation is the business viability part. And you can combine this with your business model canvas to get a good understanding of the total cost that your business incurs. Can you link idea management and design thinking? Yes, we can do that. Yes. I think in idea management, if you can have a pipeline of ideas, you can use the model of design thinking to define the problems which are worth solving and then generating a whole host of ideas. Measure the success of design thinking. It's a good question, Murthy. I think the measures can be fivefold. These are the 5 measures: dollar, brand, knowledge or new knowledge, standards or ecosystem standards, and employee attraction. These are the 5 measures that you can possibly look at. Design thinking cannot be defined. I'm not too sure if that is true. Yeah, people can have working definition of design thinking which suits them. A schedule for my upcoming webinars. Yeah, so I think you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's the best way. So if you can connect me on LinkedIn, I typically post my upcoming webinars, etc. So you can follow me on that. All right. I think design thinking can be used to solve any complex problem. A problem which has a lot of variables in it, a lot of uncertainties, has emotional involvement of people, is a very good candidate for design thinking. So that's my view about design thinking. Okay, all right. I have the last 5 minutes with me now. What I would want to do in the last 5 minutes is you can always write my questions. I'll give you my email ID. You can write to me with your questions and comments. Can you please explain these 5 pointers to DT? You mean to say the 5 stages, Shilpa? That's right, John. It's important to define the problem. I completely agree with you. Or the 5 measurement pointers? Sure. So dollar is a clear thing. Brand is, if you can come up with a better design that can give you a big brand jump, that's a good example of brand. Knowledge acquisition, if you solve a problem and if you get some new knowledge in the process, that's a knowledge acquisition. Ecosystem strength means that you come up with, like Intel came up with USB. Okay, USB drive was invented by Intel and that became the standard for data transfer. And the employee attraction is where, if you look at Amazon, because Amazon is such a customer obsessed company, it also makes employee work with Amazon with so much of a fervor. So I think this is how you can translate the ROI of design thinking on these 5 parameters. I hope that helps, Shilpa. When you talk about feasibility, does that also include non-functional parameters? Yes, they can be non-functional. Yes, they can be hedonic parameters. Aesthetics. Okay, guys, so I have the last 3 minutes with me. So I'll like to pause here. Thank you so much. Of course, your questions can always be sent to me with with the comments on my email ID. I'll be looking forward. So let me hand it over the proceedings to Raju for his closing remark. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Pawan. Fantastic session. It is very nice, basically the overview of design thinking, and you shared your some of the applications in industry, how it can be, reap the benefits from using this framework. And it's a right time, and you were given this initial thing. Probably the many people will be asking for many things, basically like advanced courses, or probably the consulting thing. They may need some hand holding in their projects. So we will be communicating regularly. Anything comes up through IPQC Consulting, we will be communicating through your emails. And we'll be sharing contact details of Dr. Pawan through our email communication. And this session will be available on YouTube. So if you people want to once again go through the slides or whatever presentation he shared, his contact details, everything is available for you. And we'll be sending a feedback form. So you can send your feedback and get a participation certificate. Once you complete your feedback form, you will get a participation certificate from IPQC side, and we will be soft copy will be sending to your email ID. Thank you for your time and wonderful session. I thank once again Dr. Pawan for his time and effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Bye.